universal appeal of Dragon Ball is plain to see, being an anime well known for balancing intense, over-the-top action with screwball comedic relief. This comes as no surprise if you're familiar with the works of the series' creator, Akira Toriyama, because as timeless and eternal as Dragon Ball feels, it's far from Toriyama's only work, and not even his first. Before he wrote Dragon Ball, he wrote Dr. Slump, a gag manga about a bumbling inventor who creates a precocious android girl. Dr. Senbai Norimaki has to hide the fact that his creation, Arale, is a robot, despite her Herculean strength and overall bizarre personality. Right off the bat, those of you familiar with Dragon Ball can see parallels between Arale and the young Goku introduced at the start of his own series. You can tell transitioning from one to the other, Toriyama was trying to make this adjustment easy. They both act as sources of slapstick with their ignorance of both their own strength and lack of social tact. It's easy to see how and why the early parts of Dragon Ball bear a lot of resemblance to Dr. Slump, especially in its comedy. As Toriyama slowly transitioned Dragon Ball to a martial arts story, his penchant for screwball physical comedy remained, as despite the over-the-top action and high-stakes training and battles, it rarely felt like Goku was in true danger. He fought goofy villains like Emperor Pilaf, Monster Carrot, and Ninja Murasaki, all gradually leading up to General Blue, who would be succeeded by Mercenary Tao, the villain who would change Dragon Ball forever and make it as we know it today, paving the way for the series' revolution. Why I believe that is the case is a complicated story, so let's delve in. As Dragon Ball picked up speed, the story found Goku in opposition of the Red Ribbon Army, an armed militia expending their resources to find the Dragon Balls at any cost. Despite their lofty presence and sometimes grim matter of villainy, the heavily armed Red Ribbon Army was still often at the mercy of Goku and his peerless strength and training. This included General Blue, an insidious and powerful foe, but one whose neurosis and foibles made him an easy opponent to get the better of, often to comedic humiliation. Blue actually comes closer to killing Goku than any villain prior, but their battle is taken to, surprisingly, Penguin Village, the setting of Dr. Slump, and in a surprise crossover, Arale saves Goku in the nick of time. It seemed nothing short of natural that these two would meet at long last. It's a bit ironic, however, that Goku literally meeting his own comedic roots would lead directly to him encountering the element that would change Dragon Ball forever, as when Arale sends Blue packing, he returns to be met with his replacement, Mercenary Tao. Cold-blooded and professional, Tao is scrupulous to few and merciful to even fewer. He establishes himself as Blue's usurper by killing him in cold blood, in a scene that is played to no laughs, and was probably a bit chilling to viewers experiencing Dragon Ball for the first time. This would represent the tonal change Dragon Ball would take from then on. You could tell from his stern demeanor and sheer ruthlessness that he was a tough customer, and this was reinforced further by when Tao killed a friend of Goku's, Bora. And yet it's hard to say that Tao is devoid of humor. Quite to the contrary, Tao's demonstrations of strength and skill are downright hilarious, whether he's throwing trees to surf through the air atop of them, or using a slipper to counter a sniper. What's interesting about this is that Tao employs a similar comedy to Goku and Arale, leaving the world in awe with his absurd power. The difference is, however, that Tao is an antagonist, and so seeing his crazy feats, as well as being comedic relief, is equally a bit scary, and constructive in raising narrative stakes because we see what Goku is up against. This is the key element that at long last pulled Dragon Ball from its revered roots and gave it its distinct identity, changing from an extension of Dr. Slump with an adventurous twist to an evolution by using its trappings in a reverse roundabout way, and no character epitomizes this more than Tao. And the element of the new villain doing something completely insane to show their power isn't an unfamiliar one in Dragon Ball, but whether it's Nappa tearing up an entire city or Frieza practically killing with a mere thought, it's Tao who set the stage for this format. In fact, many Dragon Ball villains demonstrate their power very visually by killing the main villain that precedes them, like Vegeta killing Nappa or Cell absorbing Android 17 and 18. Again, done by Tao to General Blue before any of them. Tao was such a great threat that Goku had to seek out a whole new training regimen to take him down. Sure, Tao is now absolutely dwarfed by the villains Goku has fought more recently, but at the time he was a grounded yet terrifying threat, a real rival for Goku. Tao was the big-time baddie who had paved the way for the likes of Piccolo, Vegeta, Frieza, and the rest. His warm color scheme and smug, condescending demeanor is sort of a precursor to Frieza in my eyes. Even his signature attack, the Dodon Ray, is a beam from a single finger, foiling Goku's broad, open palm Kamehameha, an illustrative device that would again be appropriated by Frieza. You can also argue that Tao's return as a cyborg was Toriyama's first big hazard at a transformation. The idea of having a villain return in a new, stronger form, which would be a consistent trope in Dragon Ball media moving forward. It's sort of paradoxical how Tao is irrelevant in contemporary Dragon Ball because there's no way he'd hold a candle to the characters as we know them today, but we'd never have powerhouses like Cell or Broly had Tao never upped the ante. Part of me wishes we could see him pop up in Fighter Z or Super, but part of me is super happy he existed as a grounded microcosm of another era. Even if the Blazes have grown far, far bigger than him, no one would light the match in the first place if it weren't for Mercenary Tao.